Hi everyone, the small engine mechanic here. Today we're checking out a no-start issue on this Predator generator. As always with no starts, always check the oil level first, because most generators have a low oil switch that will not let the engine start if it's too low. The oil is very dark, but it's full. The fuel hose clamp has been moved. Most likely from the customer trying to troubleshoot it. So, let's pull the fuel hose off the tank and get a sample of the fuel. I tilt the unit to try to get any water in the fuel to come out first. The sample looks clear with no water in it. So, now reconnect the fuel supply hose to the valve. And let's check the air filter. It's not abnormal to find some oil in the filter. Pro tip here. You can use brake cleaner instead of ether to test the carb. By spraying a small amount into the carb, we can see if it's a fuel supply issue or an electrical issue. Yep, not an electrical issue. It will only run with the choke closed. So, let us try it again. No start. Start. Again, it will stay running when the choke is closed, but when we try to open it, it shuts down. Well, now we know it's a fuel supply issue. And that means the carb. So, to remove the carburetor we will need to remove the intake plate. Using a 10 mm socket, remove the two carburetor retaining nuts. And an 8 mm socket to remove the back filter housing bolt. Now the filter housing can be removed. Make sure the fuel supply valve is closed. Remove the choke lever. And remove the fuel hose from the carburetor. Now, slide out the carburetor and disconnect the throttle linkage. And there we go, it has been removed. Always check for any external damage. It looks good, so let us take it apart. We need to remove the upper nut on the bowl to drain the fuel that's caught in the bowl. Yeah, there should be some fuel coming out. So, let us remove the main bowl nut. Only a couple of drops. That's not right. Now, sometimes the bowl will be stuck against the carb body. Another trick is to reinstall the bowl's nut. Just until it touches the bowl. And using an object like a screwdriver, and tap the bowl. This will help it break free. Debris on the nut is not a good sign. The fuel in the bowl has varnished and collected debris. This can clog the main jet. Slide the float hinge pin out and remove the float and needle. You can see how the old fuel varnish is discoloring the float. Now remove the idle screw and the pilot jet. Now remove the main jet. Sometimes it will only get so far out and the varnish on the threads will keep it from coming out. Tapping on it will help remove the jet. You should be able to see right through the center of this. This one is clogged. Since the emulsion tube didn't come out, we will need to give it a little help. Looking in the throat of the carburetor, the brass tip is the emulsion tube. Using a screwdriver, push down on the tip and it will pop out the bottom. All these tiny holes will need to be cleaned out. Now the carburetor and parts are ready for the cleaning process. In the ultrasonic cleaner, you can see a cloudy substance forming around the carburetor parts. This is the machine removing the varnish, dirt, and old fuel. Now the parts have been cleaned and dried. We need to inspect the pieces before rebuilding them. You can see how it removed the varnish from the float. No more varnish or debris. You can see through the emulsion tube tiny holes. And the main jet is clear now. The pilot valve O-rings look good. So, let's put it back together now. We can start with the float and needle valve. Then the hinge pin. Next will be the emulsion tube. Remember, long tip goes in first. Then the main jet. Don't over-tighten this. Then the bowl. The drain hole should be on the opposite side of the fuel supply. Now the drain nut. And the bowl nut. And tighten them down. Next is the pilot valve. Then the idle screw. I tighten it until it just touches the throttle. And there we go. It's ready to be reinstalled. When installing, the throttle side goes on first. The linkage will slide on like so. Slide the carburetor back on and connect the linkage. And test the throttle for ease of movement. Then reconnect the fuel hose and clamp. Then the choke lever and test it for function. Then reinstall the filter housing, nuts, and back bolt. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of more tips and how-to videos. Install the intake plate. Then the air filter. Then the filter cover. Turn on the fuel supply for about 5 minutes. And check for any leaks. No leaks, so let's try it out. The stop switch is on. The choke is closed. It should start within 3 pulls. Started in 2. Opened the choke. And it's running again. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. So I guess that can only mean one thing.
It looks like another one is good to go.